right, everybody. Hey, thanks so much for joining us today. We're talking to the founder of RealmSmith. They play a lot of stuff on so many different platforms. If you've not seen them, you're going to want to check them out, especially after you're here for this interview, because he's going to tell us all about it. His name is Jason Azevedo, and he is the founder of RealmSmith. And without further ado, let's bring in Jason. How are you, buddy?
Welcome, Jason. Good, guys. How are you, my friends?
I'm good. I'm really good. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with us for a bit so we can talk about you and RealmSmith and all of that sort of stuff. We really appreciate you doing that.
Of course. Anytime. Anything from my Sirenscape family.
Aw, that's so sweet.
You guys have been there for us through thick and thin, and anyways, I can go on.
We'll get into that too. Don't worry. We'll be there for all of that. So so first of all, let's begin at the beginning, as they like to say sometimes. How long have you been gaming?
Oh, gaming. Yeah. So I started playing kind of tabletop games. I was always into video games as a kid. Started playing tabletop games though around like the age of 12, 13, I think was when I first started playing D&D. I played for a number of years with some friends, and we played a number of different things, including Greyhawk and Ravenloft, which is Curse of Strahd now. And it was really great. And that kind of opened up my brain and my creativity to other things. And then as video games tend to do, they took over my creative gaming life for many years. And then I got into the video game industry as a professional later on in life. And then came back to D&D when I was at a party with some friends, and we're like, hey, remember that game D&D we used to play? Yeah, we should play that again. And so probably 5 years ago at this point, 5 or 6 years ago, we decided to start playing D&D again and started playing with my buddy Dale and Todd. And then other friends started coming around, and then we thought, hey, maybe we should stream this. We started streaming it with iPhones in a garage, and then here we are, many years later.
Well, okay, so now the funny thing is that's a pretty common story where it's like I played it, then I took a break, and then I came back, and now I'm still in it. What was that? What was the impetus to bring you back in after you took a five-year break? Did something happen? Was there a product, or what was that?
Well, it was nostalgia at first. And so it was like, I have the 2.5 edition books. Let's get together and play old school D&D. I remember how awesome it was. Let's do it again. And I had played a couple times throughout the years. But I was like, you know what, let's just dig in. And then when I did that, I started Googling stuff and finding out what was new. And then I found Critical Role, and I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. And I started watching that. And I still very much thank that whole world for bringing me back in, and Matt Mercer for being kind of my DM daddy without knowing it.
Without even knowing
it. And yeah, and that was kind of, it was the thing where I was like, wow, I really want to do that. That looks like a lot of fun. And then by watching Critical Role, I really, by osmosis, gathered a lot of the DM knowledge that was necessary to become a DM. And didn't even realize it was happening while I was watching. But then I was like, oh, well, that rule is this and that rule is that. And it's amazing how watching a live stream like that really does that. So that kind of drew me in. And then I was like, everybody's like, oh, you don't forget 2.5. You should try 5th edition. It's amazing. I was like, really? And so then we started playing 5th edition. And yeah, that was kind of how it all kind of restarted.
Nice. So and you did kind of go really quickly from, and the next thing you know, we decided to stream it. So when you decided to start streaming it, were you trying to already plan out stuff and get everything going, or were you mostly like, let's just do it first and get it going? How did that whole thing evolve?
Yeah, it was probably a mix of a bit of both. As it typically is. I had always thought, hey, it'd be cool to maybe stream one day. That would be neat. Never really understanding or knowing what that meant or where that would take my life. And my buddies and I were playing. We used to play in the backyard during the summer in like an enclosed, like almost like a what are they called? The canopy things. Anyways, pergolas, like whatever they were. Anyways,
yeah.
It was really cool. And so I set it up and I built this whole town and had my friends over, and then I when it started getting cold, I renovated our garage at the time, and to make it look kind of like a medieval tavern with like stone on the wall. And you'll see that in our really early. I mean, I'm not saying you should go watch those. You should watch the recent stuff first, but then for nostalgia's sake, maybe go back and watch the other ones. But it was in my garage, and it was like, okay, we're sitting there, and then I asked my buddy Joel to come and play D&D. He hadn't played since he was a kid, so he used to play all the time with his cousin. He's like, okay, I'll come check it out. And he came just to sit in and watch. And he's like, dude, this is like next level. You've got to film this. And I was like, really? How do we do that? I'm like, I don't know how to do it. So literally, like, well, the cheapest way is iPhone. So we got some iPhones, and we set up some iPhones, and then like had one mic in the room, and so many tech issues, and so many, like, internet was horrible in the garage. So I ran like an Ethernet cable all the way from the upstairs bedroom all the way down the stairs outside and then into the garage.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, those days were just, it was looking back now, it's pretty funny to imagine, but it was like that. And it literally was like, okay, let's just try it. And being kind of the creative, technical people that we are, and having a bit of that entrepreneurial spirit, we're like, you know what, let's just do it. Let's figure it out as we go. And now the internet gets to see us stumble through and figuring out as we go.
I mean, the transition itself has been amazing. I know we were talking about this a little bit beforehand, but like I say, you started off in that kind of the garage and with your iPhones, and now you've got that gorgeous kind of very iconic studio that you use, and that gaming table. And I remember kind of when I came over to Toronto and saw you, you were actually explaining to me that you built that table. So it's like, just, you all have these amazing skills beyond just the game of D&D, but have all come together to allow you to build this great show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's, I've always told people how blessed and honored I am to have the team that I do, because we're not just guys playing D&D. Each one of us, it's call it kismet, call it the universe, call it whatever you want, but it's amazing how, you know, my whole friend group is made up of like 3 of the guys work at one of the biggest studios in Canada, production broadcasting studios, actually like TV broadcasting studios in Canada. Joel, it was assigned Sony musician and is very, very talented. Dave and Adam are both experienced sound techs and professionally. Dave is also a social media professional. I'm a game designer and a creative and an illustrator, and so you get this like mix of people all together who have these skills that really kind of elevate the whole thing. And that's kind of why I think it's come as far as it has, is just all coming together and kind of pooling very similar resources into it. I mean, almost all of us have worked in video games at some point or another. So it was just kind of like it was very cool how it all kind of came together.
So, and speaking of it coming together, it had in a very short time. I mean, really, the timeline is not very long. You guys have done a lot of stuff. Like, it is amazing when you look at the catalog of things you've put together. And I'd like to kind of touch on some of those things. I know for me, like Into the Mist is like one of the ones that really stand out for me, and all of that sort of stuff. So, can you just kind of touch on some of the high points in your mind? Like, what are some of the ones you look back on, you're like, nailed it, I feel great about this, this is awesome?
I feel great about this is awesome. Nailed it, not quite yet. I mean, I'm very much a optimistic kind of grass is greener, you know, not grass is greener, but just very content, I guess, with what I'm working on in the moment. Always looking forward to what else there is, but also having a understanding and an appreciation for where we've come from. And, you know, the original streams that we did, you know, that was a bunch of guys still playing on a table. The stakes were a lot lower, and you can feel that. And so I appreciate that era for that reason. That kind of built the kind of camaraderie. And I think that having guys and girls, friends around a table, there is an innate chemistry to that. I've known Dave for 25 years. I've known Joel for 15 years. I've known Brandon for 6 years. Like, we've known each other for a long time. And so we're friends sitting around a table who are just hanging out. And I think that comes through. And I think that that's the magic of Critical Role. I think that's the magic of a lot of these streams who are friends, literally sitting around a table playing a game. and you get that from that. And we were also one of the few streams that sit around an actual table and play until COVID hit, and then whatever. And hopefully we'll be back around the table very soon. Stay tuned. But anyway, so I have an appreciation for that. And then we were like, you know what? Let's take it to the next level. I've moved now. We built a studio inside Baseball in my basement, and as Steve knows, and built some facades. And Steve mentioned built a table, and just really kind of elevated the whole production value. Got professional cameras and a whole studio suite with professional microphones and everything. And then said, let's really seriously let's take this serious. Let's pitch D&D on doing Curse of Strahd. Ravenloft was something that was really close to my heart. I love creepy, scary. I've been told I do it well. I don't know how much that speaks to my character, but or my psychosis or my inner demons. But you know, I love that genre and I love that feeling. And we were like, let's do this, and we did. And so we kind of launched it under this new sort of vibrant look and feel and technical kind of up level. And so that is incredibly close to my heart because I love Ravenloft and the setting. Then we did Tides of Wildmount, which was really exciting for us. And in the prequel to that, I got to DM Matt Mercer in his first game in his own world, which was mind-blowing. And again, full circle, right? And without getting emotional, because I'm an emotional dude, but like coming full circle and saying, you know, watching Critical and being like, I want to do that. And then not only doing it, but doing for the guy that created the world that you're doing it with, if that even makes sense, was mind-blowing. And then also to have him play Strahd in, spoiler warning, in Into the Mist as well. You know, everybody would be like, hey, if you could have dinner with 3 people, who would it be? Matt Mercer was one of those guys. And so to have like a personal relationship with him and be able to have him on our stream and just, anyways, next level stuff for me. And yeah, so we did Tides of Wildmount and that went well, but then we've been in Barovia because the mists won't let us go. That's what I tell people, but really it's because it's just going really well and we're enjoying it. And then on the side, we've been doing some other things. We've done a bunch of shows and some celebrity streams. But we did a cyberpunk thing where we were really connected to a lot of the people who were kind of involved in the cyberpunk world, with Monster Fight Club and Sirenscape, of course, and all of that stuff. And then I found myself on a stream, which is still our most viewed content yet. I think episode 1's at like 500,000 views or something, which again is small peanuts to some in some cases, but for us is pretty fantastic.
No, it's
amazing. And that just exploded, I think. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
It really was a great show as well. So if anybody hasn't watched that yet, definitely head and have a look at that because I really do enjoy watching that one.
Yeah. And again, just to be game mastered by the creator of the world that you're playing in is pretty fantastic. And having Mike Pondsmith actually be a part of that stream and running us through it was fantastic. And then beyond that, we're always looking to what's next. We're always looking to how we can be better, how we can really push the envelope, and how we can really provide more of an experience. Finding like-minded people like Matt Lillard, who we've been very close with now, and integrating with Beetle and Grimm because we love the way that they do D&D. Being so closely tied to you guys and having Sirenscape in everything we do, including even our question and answer show on Thursday nights. Like we do everything. Everything has Sirenscape in it because, first of all, I like the want thing, but beyond that, the sad trombone for me really is what makes Sirenscape what it is. But that said, I just, again, it's people who like to do Dungeons and Dragons the way we do, that really immersive, deep. How deep can we get? How serious can we take this? How awesome can we make this experience and make it immersive? You know, we started to kind of partner with those people, and we thought, you know what, as game designers, we always want to make it interactive. It was always our plan from the beginning was always, how can we include the audience into what we do? And so we've done it a number of different ways, some not as successful as others. But then we created this whole Discord community of hundreds of people who are now playing as Vistani alongside of our live stream as characters who interact with our live stream. They're crafting and creating and finding items that then are our players in our live stream receive and use on stream, and it's just this whole crazy community, which has just again gone well above and beyond our wildest imagination and dreams to what we thought was possible.
Yeah. Well,
But-
and I, from the first time I watched, I think I probably I probably first started watching with Into the Mist. I think that's probably when, but I was blown
Yep.
away. And Steve had already mentioned it, the table and the work to build up this immersion and all of
Yep.
that stuff. And it almost right away, I watched like the first 5 minutes of watching, I was like, oh, no wonder, we're partnered up with these folks, because it's all about building the immersion. And then, learning about how you were trying to get people, it's almost, honestly, it's almost like a little ARG type thing that you've got built into the gaming, and it brings people more into the world and all of that sort of stuff. It's pretty amazing what you guys have been able to build, and it becomes one of those things when you look back, you're like, oh, of course they've gotten this successful, because it's not just we want to have a better game. It's all about building a better experience, and that's what RealmSmith tries to do, and it shows. It definitely shows.
Even your
Appreciate
characters, I remember one of the first characters I knew of from one of your games where you were playing Crichton, who was the Dragonborn
monk, yeah.
who for quite a long time, it was maybe a good couple of months, was it? You had a vow of silence that for the entire streams, Crichton did not speak.
Yeah.
And yet somehow was still a lead character in this show.
Yeah. It was pretty intense.
So then, what if you can? Because here's the thing: I know that you work officially with with what's Wizards of the Coast, with D&D, and all of those sorts of things. And so I'm sure you've got lots of stuff that you probably can't talk about. But what's on the horizon, and what are you looking forward to that you can talk about with RealmSmith?
Yeah, most of what we have coming, I can't. And I wish I could. Gen Con is around the corner. We just announced, we announced on stream last stream, but today, publicly, we announced that we're going to be at Gen Con. And we're going to be doing something super exciting at Gen Con. So stay tuned for that. You'll be hearing about that in the next month or so.
Okay.
And beyond that, we're finding new fun ways. I'll say this, and this is kind of actually a Sirenscape exclusive. I will say this: we are finding new ways to create content that people haven't considered before. I don't know if they've considered it. Let me take a step back. That nobody's ever really done before.
Okay.
And we want to create the thing with a live stream kind of situation. And I'm sure. Sorry, I just got to plug my cable in, or my laptop's going to die. You probably saw my son sneak downstairs because I was panicking at 15%. I'm good.
We'll just pause for edit.
Good.
We'll just
There we
bring
go.
that out of the final video. No one will even know.
Yeah, thanks. Whatever. It's the internet. That's the way it goes. But yeah, no, I lost my train of thought because of the stupid charger.
So you're talking about doing some innovative things for live streaming?
So
that you think...
with live streaming, when you're kind of where we are, where you're not Critical Role yet, but we're not just starting, we can't pay everyone to be able to stream every single week. So it's like our guys still have full-time jobs. I'm the only full-time employee of RealmSmith. And it makes it difficult to ask people with families and children and all of that kind of stuff to have to come out multiple times a week in order to stream. So we're finding new ways to create awesome content that is actually pre-recorded, but super high quality kind of production value, and then releasing it kind of weekly. And so right now we're working on a bunch of new content for the next 4 months or so that will kind of follow that format. Kind of almost like a mini series sort of format. And we've got some wild and crazy ideas, as we typically do. And so that's a big one. And then continuing to kind of push the envelope on interactivity and immersion for the people watching at home, and ways that we can do that. Every week we're improving. We have what we call technomancers, coding aliases and code for Avre, which is the D&D Beyond Discord code that allows you to play D&D on Discord. We have them improving on our experience constantly. They wrote this whole kind of system to automate our crafting system, so you no longer have to anyways, it's all very I'm excited about it. But anyways, they've created some pretty amazing stuff that you can do on Discord that Avre at the time wasn't allowing us to do. And so yeah, we're just pushing the envelope, and that's kind of our plan. I wish I could talk about more about kind of the stuff that we have coming out in the next couple months, but it's all incredibly exciting.
Yeah, that is amazing. What currently is the schedule looking like for if the average viewer were just humming through Twitch and all of that stuff, or whatever platform? What sort of schedule is RealmSmith holding up right now?
Yeah, so right now we have Monday nights is Into the Mist, 7 p.m. Eastern, and that runs every Monday night. And that is kind of our core stream right now. We're back. We were off last week because of holiday. We're back this Monday. Season 4 we're in. I think it's episode 6 that is coming up. And then on Thursday we have our Aftermath show. That's 8 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And that is kind of the post-show kind of question and answer period with some of the cast and myself to kind of discuss what happens. It's hosted by Hillary Z, which is one of our Smith Guardians who run our community, and that's just kind of our inside behind the scenes look at what we do, and where the fans, or the community rather, can ask questions and that kind of stuff. So that's it right now, but again, we have lots more coming up very soon. So,
lots and lots of stuff coming up, which is,
and YouTube is our primary. We've made a switch kind of from Twitch to YouTube. YouTube's kind of our primary platform, but we still do a stream to Twitch as well.
Do you what's the reasoning behind that? Do you find streaming on YouTube better?
Yes. So for us, it was innate searchability was a big one. YouTube being the second biggest search engine next to Google, because it is. And so, we just found it hard to get noticed and discovered on Twitch. So that part of it, for those streamers out there who understand the pain of kind of the cut that Twitch takes from everything that you do, that was a bit tough, to be honest, to swallow. And so we thought, you know what, we switched from a Twitch membership model, and we went to Patreon for our Discord, and then to YouTube, and it's exploded in a bunch of different ways that have been very, very positive for us. So the switch to YouTube was just really, really great, and it's worked out very, very nice. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been seeing some other places have started to seem to do that, and I've been wondering about that. So, well, that's good then. That's definitely something to look into. So then, knowing that, are there any plans that you've got for RealmSmith that you can talk about that aren't project related, but as far as one day we want to really do this as a company, or we want to do this or whatever, what does that roadmap look like for you?
Yeah, so we're kind of a small caveat is RealmCon. It's a fan event that we're hoping to launch this year, maybe in October, that soon, where people can come and just hang out with the cast, play games with the cast, play D&D throughout the day. We'll do some seminars, and then we'll do live. I think we're probably going to we're doing an episode of Into the Mist live, probably at the show, we call it RealmCon. It's not really a con yet. And so we'd like to continue to push kind of in that direction. We're really looking forward to being at more shows this year. Right now, Gen Con is on the list, and we have on the wish list is Origins, PAX Unplugged, and GaryCon for sure. And then in the future, and hopefully we'll be at more. We really miss the convention experience. And for us, it's also creating more bite-sized content. So, everybody does the 3-hour streams. What can we do to create half-hour interesting content? What can we do to create an hour of interesting content that is a bit more digestible by a wider audience who doesn't necessarily want to sit for 3 hours for a session? To really kind of diversify our content is something we're very interested in doing across the board. And not just from a D&D perspective, but even looking into further systems. And we've talked about Cyberpunk a bunch and all that kind of stuff, but we're just trying to figure out what fits for us on a number of different levels.
Yeah. Well, so far it seems like, and I'm sure you have stories to go against what I'm about to say, but it seems like so far you guys have been very, very successful at just about everything you've tried. Like, there might be some restarts or some, obviously we're just starting this, so it may not be perfect. But when you look back, like I said, short amount of time and where you're at now, it's just it's amazing. Like it blows me away.
Appreciate that.
I mean, I was always impressed with your con presence. I remember the last show I actually saw you at was PAX Unplugged, back when we were allowed to go to shows. And of course, there you had that your big booth. You got Brandon was running games for people. You were doing all the WizKid miniature painting, which was fantastic. Anybody that gets the opportunity to come along and see you actually do your tutorials on miniature painting was amazing. I got to actually then do a beholder, and I was actually really impressed with what I came out with at the end.
You were great. It was so much fun to hang out with you guys and paint some stuff. We actually glossed over all that stuff, but the way we really kind of started into this industry, apart from the live streams, the live streams were kind of secondary, was I've been a mini painter for a long time, and I kind of started in Warhammer, did that for a while until I entered the Dungeons and Dragons world, and I went, oh my gosh, they have miniatures too? And so then I started painting minis, and the one thing that I will say to up-and-coming streamers or people who really want to get into this industry is it's all about relationships. It's all about people that you meet. It took us biting the bullet and investing in me getting to shows that really have escalated our approach and the momentum that we've had through this industry and through this community. It was meeting people in person and building those relationships that you can't really build virtually that really pushed us. That was us building our relationship with Vallejo early on, and WizKid specifically, partnering with them, getting sponsored by them, and then starting the tutorial series, which was great for the time that it was there. And then also doing the shows. And so then that put us at shows because Vallejo would send us to shows, and then I would do the classes, and you saw the lines around the thing. It was amazing. And then the next year we tagged a little RealmSmith booth onto the side of the Vallejo booth, and then we started selling our boxes, which is another whole story. And I just can't stress the value of friendship in this industry, and finding and working with the people that have like vision and similar vision to us, and kind of what you're trying to do. And so, the whole tutorial thing, we just decided, we're not getting the same traction as on that stuff as we do our live stream. So we're going to shift a little bit, may go back to that. Who knows? We get asked every week, we want more painting tutorials. And so maybe we go back there, but
yeah. Well, I mean, it's part of the foundation of what started to build RealmSmith. So, maybe a special one-off or something. But I do remember hearing Steve tell stories about going to that painting thing and seeing the minis and stuff. And it just looked amazing. It was just great. So
fun.
Yeah, it really was.
So then, with all the different stuff you guys have going on right now, and all the various starts and new projects and things like that, what is the best place for people to go to learn more and kind of track with all of the stuff that you have coming out at some point?
Yeah, I would say from social media perspective, I'd say Instagram's probably the best place to go. We do have a Twitter presence on social medias. We're RealmSmith TV, because the RealmSmith had all of the channels taken before we could snatch those up. One day maybe we'll be able to make the shift. But some dude, I don't know who it is, the RealmSmith. Mike Smith probably, who knows. Anyways, but so yeah, Instagram probably the best. We are on Twitter. We always kind of multi post, but Instagram would be the best, just because we're very image heavy. We post a lot of pictures of painted miniatures and terrain and all that kind of stuff. And then youtube.com/RealmSmith for all of our streaming updates. We will be updating and putting out a bunch of announcements in the next little while on our Instagram. So that would be the best place probably to check it out.
Nice. All right. Anything else that we missed? I feel like we got through all the stuff that we said we were going to talk about, and a lot more. I got to be honest, like there's a lot more information than I had planned to get, which is awesome, because it is kind of a fascinating story about how you guys kind of came together, and just a bunch of friends that happen to be incredibly talented in all these different areas, and said, well, we can make this a thing, So it's pretty amazing.
One last thing I will say is a massive thank you to Sirenscape. You guys have been with us since we were this big, and now we're this big. But it isn't. Again, it's not just about. I mean, we can talk about the sponsorship. We could talk about the awesome stuff that you guys create and the content and the sound sets, the stuff that we've actually created for you that you carry on your channel. Like we can talk about all that stuff. But the most important things for me is the Italian dinner that we shared at the show when we all sat around and laughed. We can talk about the D&D game that we played that was run by Ben's son, right? Was it
by Eldon?
Or it was run by Ben with his son? And it was just like it's you coming to Toronto and sitting and playing on our stream. It's you guys sending me well-wish packages when I was down. Like it's honestly about those little things that people don't see but really matter. Because really when the dust settles and we're all old and gray and have lived our D&D dreams, it's kind of those friendships and those things that matter the most. So thank you for yes, all of your support, but thank you for being incredible friends and people who we really honestly truly care about, and are just awesome people.
For me, it was definitely the chicken wings after the stream, because up until then I knew you as obviously Jason from RealmSmith, but the chicken wings, that was the first time I ever got to actually meet the real Jason, and we just chatted, and it was such an amazing experience. So thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Well, the feeling is mutual across every sentiment that you just expressed there. Like we're just so incredibly excited to see how you were innovating Sirenscape use, and the community content that you make is just, it's a knockout of the park every time. It's just so good, and it's fun to watch people get genuinely excited about what Sirenscape can bring to a table, and work so hard to make sure that happens, and we just love it. It's just such a great thing. So appreciate that. All right, Jason, hey, thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit and chatting. We will definitely, hopefully 100%, we can get back to a convention at some time. I'm hoping when that happens, we're definitely going to hang out again and maybe get more chicken wings and have a little drink and all that kind of stuff. And I'm already looking forward to that. So yeah, everybody hang out for a bit. If you're watching us live, we're going to be right back. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks so much for joining us. We've been talking to Jason from RealmSmith today, one of our favorite people in the world. You can learn more by just finding them at Instagram, right here on YouTube, or Twitter. They're there, realmsmith.tv. And yeah, Jason, thank you so much, buddy. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
It's been a blast. Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon, and thanks for joining us. Bye.
See you soon.